How's it going, rednecks? I'm out here in the garage and I'm getting ready to do a video on the yellow Oldsmobile. It won't be the last video, it will be the second to last video, because I've made the decision to get rid of it. And I'll go over why here in a second, but it ain't an easy decision because dang, I love that car, I love how it looks, I love everything about it, and I've got a lot of time into it. But I want to do a walk around of it, show you guys the car once more, and then we're going to go over what's wrong with it, and then what's going to happen with it. Now, for those of you who've never seen this car, I wouldn't be surprised. It's some of the videos are pretty old, because I purchased this car. I got all this written down. I purchased this car in 2018 for $350, and this is a 1986 Oldsmobile 98. And I got it running in 2019. There was some problems with wiring underneath the hood. Ultimately, it was the timing chain magnet that fell off, because the timing chain fell off or was worn out and was slapping and broke the magnet off, so the cam sensor wasn't reading correctly. Now, I lifted it in 2019, and actually the most iconic thing was the truck topper. After I lifted it, I drove it for a little while, and I came across a Ford Ranger topper. And yeah, long story short, I don't know how it worked out, but the dang thing fit. Now I think I'm going to start at the front of the car, and we're going to start with these right here. I found some 1990s, brand new in the box, 4 of them, halo eye headlights. These ain't the cheap ones, these are glass, and I love how they look. They're 194 bulbs, so I can change the color of this halo anytime I want. I'm getting ready to gut all the parts I want off the Oldsmobile before it goes, and as you can see, I got the old boxes out. Here's the headlights lit up, and here's the boxes they came in. And it appears I paid 10 bucks a pair for them, so 20 bucks for all 4. Man, that looks good. As for the front bumper, this is off a Jeep Wrangler, a newer one. I don't know what years actually ran this, but I got it for free from somebody on the marketplace that was just giving it up, and I installed a Harbor Freight winch for a quad runner. As for the hood, that was not purchased, that was built by me. I will post links to any videos I can right up here, but there's a build video on this, and yeah, it took me like 2 days to build this, and I love how it looks. And then underneath, actually, I have a set of gauges. Now, the mirrors that came on this car were pretty crappy. They were really small and hung out right here and were solid. So I decided to get some Ford F-150 mirrors from Amazon. And these things are pieces of crap. They rusted out like day one, and you can hardly see out of these things. They are flexed funny, the glass in them is garbage, and the mounts for them are garbage, so they move all over the place, but they look good. As for the moon visor, this is a Lund visor for a Ford Ranger, and I put in some aftermarket lights, and as you can see, they are yellowing, and I believe only 3 of them are working right now. Yes, that is correct. So they did not hold up to the test of time, but 4 years exposed to the elements, they did pretty good. Another thing I did was a video on these opera lights. These light up white, and then if I turn on my turn signals, they turn yellow, and I don't know if you can really see that, it's kind of bright out. And then if I turn the turn signals back off, they turn back to white. As you can see, they did not hold up well. A bunch of dirt and debris got in there, and we'll check out the other side because it looks about the same. Yeah, that looks pretty nasty, but they still work. You won't be able to see it very well, but there's another set of these lights that were in the opera lights right here, and they come on with the reverse whites. The all 4 of them light up white, and then when you turn on the turn signals, they flash yellow. Just in case you were wondering, that's what they look like lit up in reverse. I did end up using the same bulbs that I put in the visor up front in the back of the topper here, and all 5 of those have survived, but they are yellowing a little bit. To match the front, I put the same era Jeep bumper on, and I had to do a lot of trimming right around here to get it to fit on the car, but it fit pretty good. And I gotta say, I hit my basketball pole with this when I was moving it last week, and it bent it a long ways, and it bent right back, so this is way more stout than I thought it was gonna be. Last but not least, because we got the topper still, is this receiver right here. This is off a Tahoe, and I just modified it to fit where the old bumper brackets were. It's not quite that strong. I wouldn't pull a trailer with it. I'd have to do some more gusseting, but it does have a receiver. And then the piece of resistance is this right here. This is a Ford Ranger truck topper. I never had intentions in doing this. I have a drawing of what the car was going to be, and this is what it turned out to be. I ended up seeing this topper online, and I don't know what went through my head, but I thought, I bet I could make that work. I photoshopped it on the car, called the guy up, got some measurements, everything looked like it fit, so long story short, here it is. Now it's not perfect by any means. As you can see, there's a large gap here. If we come around, it's not pushed into the chrome trim like it is on the other side. Comes around and all we have are some self-tappers here. And a lot of you are going to hate this, but the back of the car is not cut out. So there's the roof of the car. The back window's still in. And that's because this is a unibody car, so it would never hold up. And this right here is the other side. As you can see, kind of pushes in a little bit better, but the window cutout is a little worse on this side. Yeah, definitely a 100-footer, but looks good and it fits better than it should. Now to lift the front of this thing, the strut is actually welded to another strut. We just cut it right there off the old one, welded it to the bottom of this one, and then on top of that, there are some pucks in there, or a little bit of an extender I made to raise the car. And then as far as the cradle goes, we had to drop it, I believe, 4 inches. So these are 4 by 4 inch square tube blocks. And that gave us a total of 7 inches of lift in the front of this thing. Now the back was quite a bit more work. We ended up having to extend the shock. So this was built, you can actually see the studs in there. That used to bolt up inside there, so we had to do a shock extension. We are actually, I believe, utilizing the factory coil, but we welded a bucket on top of the lower control arm, and then the paint of it. We had to build an entire unibody, or a substructure, because the old control arm bolt used to go there, and we moved it all the way down to there. Yeah, that was a lot of work. Then as you can see, it is still using the factory strut, and yes, the air ride still works. So the airbags are nice and firm, and it brings the car up 1 3/4 inches. And if we come over here, we're sitting at about 50 psi. As far as the interior goes, I really haven't done a whole lot. I did do an S10 overhead console, so I have a sunglass holder here. The interior light is actually wired in, as well as the round lights, which I am not getting currently very well, but they're there. Other than that, I think all I've done is LED interior lights. So I have LED interior lights all in the back. They're all in the door down here. If you take a look, there's one there. So yeah, I got all the LED lights back there. If you take a look, there's one there on the door, one over there. Not a whole lot of special stuff in here, but I tell you what, this seat is comfortable and that carpet is super soft. If you ever see one of these cars at the junkyard, just feel the carpet. It's like microfiber, all of it. And then the seat, it's like a freaking couch. Yeah, I'm gonna miss riding in this thing. As for the wheels and tires, I went with Jeep Cherokee rims. I believe these are called Colorados or Canyons. I can't quite remember, but they were a factory 8-inch wide, 15-inch rim, and they are wrapped with a Goodyear Wrangler 235/75 15s. And I had to use a 1-inch wheel spacer to clear the calipers. So they look good, and they're not that great in the winter, but they were cheap. So with all the work I've done on this car, you're probably wondering why I'm getting rid of it. And it's not an easy decision. I love this car, I love how it looks, but there's just so many problems, and I have a list of them right here, and we're gonna go over them. The first one being the exhaust. I never built an exhaust for this, and 4 years of driving without one is quite annoying. Yes, I could put an exhaust on it, but there's way more to come, so hold on. The speedometer don't work. It never has, and it probably never will. These are a cable driven, so there's a little square cable that comes from the transmission and goes to your speedometer, and that thing quit working. I'm sure the gear in the transmission at this point is probably stripped out as well. Talking about transmissions, About 2 weeks after I lifted this thing, me and my buddies were driving in it. We were going up this steep hill, and the transmission was pretty much like, you know what, this is way too much work, and third gear went, I'm out. So this car only has first, second, fourth, and reverse. And you have to manually shift from second to fourth, or it'll try and go into third, and then you got nothing. Then you got to try and manually shift down to second, and then get it into fourth. Oh, another big ticket item. The brakes on this thing are garbage. I'm pretty sure the rears are gone, and the fronts pulsate like crazy. The rears are drums, the fronts are discs. Don't feel like working on it. This car is already, we're not even halfway through, so just bear with me. The gas tank leaks. If you fill this thing over halfway full, the gas tank leaks. I'm pretty sure the top of the tank is rusted out from sitting so long, and it won't leak like pour out, but when you're driving, the gas sloshing around, it finds its way out, so I tend to only fill this thing up halfway full. The newest item happened to be the gas line leaks. The gas line from right up by the firewall here, going up to the engine, recently started leaking. Not bad, but it's enough that you're going to have to replace all the fuel lines, and believe me, I don't want to do that. Another leak this thing has is when you're driving the car, you can smell coolant burning. I don't know where it's coming from, never looked into it. Could be head gaskets, could be intake. I know it's not the radiator because this thing has a brand new radiator in it. While we're on the topic of leaks, this thing has a transmission leak, and that is ultimately why I lost third gear, I believe. This transmission leaks enough that I think it leaked enough fluid out that when I was going up that hill, the transmission wasn't drawing any fluid, and it slipped third and burned it out. And I didn't know how bad it was leaking until I started parking on pavement. Unfortunately, I was parking in my grass back here and never noticed how bad it was leaking. The wiper blades don't work. Now this is almost comical, as the car will choose when it wants to give you wiper blades, and it will tease you with it. It'll go from park to out of park, and back and forth, and then every now and then it will give it to you. I don't know what's causing that. Could be a park switch in the windshield wiper motor. Never looked into it. I just kind of dealt with it for the years that I've owned it. Now if these things work right away, I'm going to be quite annoyed, but I doubt they will. Here we go. Are you kidding me? There. That's what they normally do. Let's see if I can get them working again. Oh, it's surprising they're working this good. Oh, now they won't even park. Oh, now they're parking. By the way, if you have a winter beater, don't ever put a cowl induction hood on it. Snow buildup is impossible to get out of here, especially when your wiper blades don't work. I already went over this, but the mirrors suck. You can't see nothing out of the passenger or driver mirror, and obviously I could replace them, but once again, that's another expense. The car does not idle right. The idle air control motor never worked right. I replaced it with a new one, never worked. So how I set the idle is I actually back the idle air control motor out of its own threads to set the idle on the car. Right here is how I adjust the idle. I take the idle air control motor and I rotate it. That's down. Oh, that's down. Oh. Right about there seems about good. The car does not have good heat. Now unfortunately, with this being a winter beater, that really sucks, because when I'm trying to defrost those windows and that blower motor's not pushing very fast air, as well as the heater core not pumping very hot air, this thing does not defrost the windshield very quick. And on top of that, with the big gaping hole in the firewall for that steering, the car does not get very warm very fast. So kind of annoying when it's considered a winter beater and doesn't have heat. Now as for the summer, probably one of the two reasons I don't drive it in the summer is it doesn't have working AC. Yeah, I'm not even going to try to get that working, especially considering when we lifted this out, we sawzawed half the AC system out of it. The second reason I don't drive this thing in the winter is because all the windows have problems. And I'm going to go over those here in a second, but yeah, you just watch this. So here we go. This is how I bring the driver window down. I have to first hold the window, let the power window go down, or the power motor go down, and then I have to let the window drop down, and I got to make sure to grab this tab or I'll never be able to pull the window back up when it falls into the frame of the door. But just like that. Yeah, the window kind of just lays in there. And then to bring it up, if the window does fall, I can grab this, pull the window up, close it, Then I wait till the power window motor hits it. There we go. Now it's in. Now I can't quite recall, but I believe this is the best window, or the best working window in the car. And there we go. It's kind of sturdy. Not the greatest. At least it goes up. Now for the passenger front window, I believe it falls in. Oh! I may have been, oh, that's right. This one's super slow. I'm not going all the way down with this one. You gotta help it up. If I went all the way down, the motor could burn up. Come on, baby. There we go. Is it locked? Yes. And this door is from a junkyard. This is out of a 97 to 91, so the wiring must be different. And that causes the up to go down and the down to go up. But this is by far the best working window in the car. Other than it's backwards. As of recently, there was a mouse in the car and it ate a bunch of the firewall wiring right up here. I will get a close-up of that. Right here is the alternator wire I fixed. And there are the chewed wires from a mouse. As well as there's a few more right here. I'm sure there's some more hiding somewhere in this thing. Yeah, not good. I am not looking forward to dealing with that, so I'm not gonna. I'm actually gonna... That's somebody else's problem. We'll just leave it at that for right now. The gas gauge. The gas gauge in this car never worked. Right after getting this car running, I had it idling outside the shop, and it was at a quarter tank, and the car just shut off. It took us probably half an hour before we realized it's out of gas. The gas gauge is still the same. For some reason, quarter tank is empty, so I usually fill it to 3/4, which I assume is about a half tank. I kind of went over it at the beginning of the video, but the lights are failing. My opera lights are failing, the moon visor lights are failing, and I kind of like how that stuff looks. I got a lot of time into the car. I like lighting. I'm a LED freak, so that stuff kind of bothers me. Now the last item on the list really isn't anything for the car, it's for all of the car. You cannot find parts for this thing, whether it be pick and pull lots or brand new parts. These cars were made from 85 to 91. The 85 was a distributor car, and then the 86, 87 were like this, and then in 88 to 91 they were different yet. So finding parts for this car is quite difficult. Well, there you have it. That's the Oldsmobile from ground up build, I guess, and the good, bad, and ugly. And I gotta be honest, I'm gonna miss this thing. It's been sitting in my driveway for 5 years. I drove it in the winter for 4. I have around $1,000 into it, and it's been a pretty good car. Now what's gonna happen to it is I'm giving it to my buddy Tyler, and he's gonna run it in an off-road rally race called Hoopty Cross. And that's gonna be in Sturgis, Michigan on July 20th if you wanna see it. Otherwise, stay tuned to my channel, and I will hopefully have a video on him running it. He plans on doing a whole paint scheme, and I don't know what else he's going to do to it, but it should be a pretty good time. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and get back to work.